Hey, welcome back, guys. In Raising Kanan episode 3, we saw Kanan finally get his operation off the ground, the federal surveillance on our characters heat up, and the true introduction of Ronnie Myers. I'm here to break it all down in typical top 10 WTF fashion. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things power. Here we go. WTF moment number 10, Ronnie's revenge. The episode kicks off with that bouncer from the previous episode who disrespected Ronnie at the door for his attire and being a former convict in general. Ronnie subtly approaches the poor soul, and after making his intentions and presence known, perpetually slams the bouncer's head in a car door repeatedly. This ruthless act represents the first body, but certainly not the last, for the evil Ronnie Matthews. WTF moment number 9, a big fish. Following the death of Sal Baselli, the feds rain down all of their forces on Stefano and catch the fish salesman off guard with their attack. After trumping up some false charges against the fish merchant, they haul him in just to make their presence known throughout the city. Not just to the Italians, but the trickle-down effect will lead to South Jamaica Queens as well, to a more blacker side of town, if you will. WTF moment number 8, feds watching. Rock pays Famous an impromptu visit and attempts to gain information in exchange for money. After leaving Famous's place, we see the Queen Pin looking over her shoulder at a strange van parked off to the side, the same type of van that the feds generally use when they're on your ass. And make no mistake about it, the feds are on Rock's ass, and Kanan by extension, because just the mere fact that they were parked outside of Famous's house means that they're picking up on all kind of drug activity, which may stem from Paul, but eventually will catch up to Kanan if the new trailer is any indication. WTF moment number 7, warning shot. Once Kanan gets back to Famous's, the two get into it over Famous's laziness. In a sassy display, Famous pulls out the wad of money that Rock gave him in response to his partner calling him broke. And once he revealed the source of the money, Kanan went into gorilla pimp mode, smacking the money from his friend's hand and smacking him up a bit too, just to keep his friend's eye on the ball and his heart in pocket. Now this slap won't go without consequence, as it's gonna build resentment into Famous, and in passive-aggressive ways, Famous may start doing things that will negatively affect Kanan's business. But I'll get into Famous in full in a video to come, because it doesn't look good for our favorite Porter Rock. WTF moment number 6, a friend in need. Marvin is paged by a mysterious number, which strangely leads back to his friend Gerald from Anger Management. Gerald is apparently being held by 2 mysterious men in a ransom attempt, to which Marvin answers the call and saves his friend. Now this was one of the wilder turns of events, but Gerald just may prove useful to Marvin in a way that he nor we can see at this time. Perhaps he's connected in the music business somehow, and may just be the key to Juke's upcoming appearance in that musical group. WTF moment number 5, gotcha. Neek pulls up on Rock for another late night rendezvous, something we've grown accustomed to this season thus far. After putting yet another stamp on those cheeks, Neek departs from Rock's place, only for us to see that it's Ronnie who has tailed him there, and now knows in full why Unique has been so distracted from getting them back in the game and on top. This is a very interesting state of affairs because there's a lot of ramifications that come with this knowledge, things that I'm going to get into in a few videos to come, so stay tuned. WTF moment number 4, knock the figgity fuck out. In another one of Lulu's drunken nights, he stumbles into an old jazz club that the owner is allowing new acts to present new forms of music, which will be hip-hop at this time, given the infancy of the art form in the early 90s. A drunken Lou enjoys the music, and in his stupor, it brings him back to a place of liveliness. That is, until he's interrupted by a heckler from the crowd, who wants a more traditional sound and isn't really feeling the rap music at all. Lou approaches the man and warns him to stop or else, and in the midst of their brief exchange, he commences in knocking the man senseless, and I mean repeatedly so. This was a major mistake by Lulu because it landed him in jail and thus lost him arguably the last chance he had at making amends with Jukebox. WTF moment number 3, mind playing tricks. While locked up for his foolish act at the club, Lulu astoundingly sees 2 faces from his past, the first being D-Wiz on the left, and the second being Scrap on the right. Now this is an interesting moment because Lulu at this time is no longer drunk, so from his sober state of mind, he saw the apparition of these 2 haunting men who he previously had to kill while working with Rock in the business. This gives us further insight into why Lulu has fallen into alcoholism, because he's using alcohol as a crutch to keep his mind from dealing with the heavy burdens and guilt. And if he doesn't get a grip soon, he's gonna lose a handle on everything. And as he stated about his father when he was speaking to the owner of the club, he did it to himself. He gave up on living, drank his life away, and everything that he was good at, in his father's case, boxing, music, and even his own family allegedly, were byproducts of his failure to regain himself. I'm probably fearing for Lulu more at this time than ever before. WTF moment number 2, criminal mastermind. While at the hairdresser, Rock overhears her beautician lamenting the fact that no one wants to own their hair shop and is leading to higher raises in their booth rent. Now, we learned from Rock previously during her conversation with Unique that she needed to find a way to wash her money. And so later on in the episode, we see her meeting with a realtor about potentially buying a business and investing her money into it, thus turning that dirty money into clean revenue. The only problem with this is the feds are officially on her, and we see them taking pictures while making crude jokes in the background. And if Rock does indeed give the realtor a cash offer, and even wilder if she does this in the open, then it's going to further ramp up that federal investigation into all of her affairs, because where did she get this cash from? Now, I'm sure Rock will have a reputable excuse when the time comes, but this surveillance is no joke, and it could lead to something even more dire, perhaps, for our favorite queen pin. And WTF moment number 1, Ronnie Myers. Kanan and Famous see the initial returns of their hard work, and it only inspires them to do more. However, one person isn't so keen on them getting all this money in his former territory. That person, of course, being Ronnie Mathis, who positions himself across the street and just stares at his young counterparts, cringely so. His sociopathic gaze inspires nothing but fear into the hearts of the young men, who immediately depart into their residence upon noticing that they're being clocked. Kanan, however, stays to make eye contact with Ronnie, who doesn't let up on his ill stare, giving this commentator, and apparently all of you, the same vibes that Michael Myers once gave a Laurie Strode in the film Halloween, staring, breathing, and remaining chillingly unwavering during the process. This isn't their official introduction to one another, but when it does come time to meet, Kanan isn't going to be so thrilled, at least from the start, but we'll see how things pan out for him. Some lingering thoughts before we end today's video. We saw Kanan build yet another bridge with Simrad, who's integral in his operation as a supplier. However, their meeting spelled more doom and gloom for Famous, who at this point I don't see making it out of season 3, at least in the form of what we knew him as. They're knocking at that addiction door, and once Kanan graduates to a purer product, it's going to spell even more bad news for Famous should he ever dip into it. Jukebox and Marvin, more so the former than the latter, are going to be done with Lulu following his latest letdown. But just maybe, his new club connection and access to it will appeal to Juke enough for one last chance at redemption for their relationship. The club is also a cool parallel to Ghost and his unfulfilled club dreams. If Lou expires before he can live out his own, then it'll be just another reminder that there's more tragedies in the hood than triumphs. In the aftermath of their bedroom scene, Rock mentioned to Neek that her money was just collecting dust in a storage unit. I wonder if this information will come back to be detrimental to her should they ever fall out and return to being mortal enemies. After all, Ronnie is on the hunt, and he wants back into the game like pronto, 911 style. And Rock does have the capital to make all of this happen, and then some. We'll see if this line was just a one-off or foreshadowing for something more dangerous. Speaking of Rock and her money, I wonder if that laundering site that she's interested in is the same site that we see Ghost and Tommy run the wash and folds out of. There was a very on-the-nose parallel between the two locations, with Tommy's name literally being spray painted on. Now, I know many of you seem to believe that Ghost and Tommy are currently runners for Kanan, given the cast of characters that we've seen laid out. But his name being painted on that location could be a nod to a front business to come. We'll see as the juxtapositions continue. But that'll do it for this one. What were your thoughts on Raising Kanan episode 3? Be sure to drop me your opinions in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.